second time today, our season ticket holder interviewer, Robert Dick.
Well, that's why I do have this against. I didn't just cheer myself. I apologise. I'm going to sit down for a second because literally, because I have no belt on, I'm terrified of myself. I cannot exaggerate enough how scared I am. I have a little introduction to it. It's on my phone, so bear with me. Our next guest is a very popular companion, despite mostly fighting for screen time in a regular cast of 4 people. Additionally, they were part of a doctor, male companion, female companion trio, with an extra sort of animal friend, if you like. They worked very well on stage opposite a doctor played by someone who was known to not always be the easiest person to get on with. At the end of their time on the show, when reading their next script, they were surprised to find their departure detailed therein. Since leaving Doctor Who, they have continued to perform, often on stage, and have written several novels. They have also made a huge success of returning to their role for Big Finish. In 1964, when coming on board to the place Caroline fought as... Sorry, hang on. Sorry. So this is Moira O'Brien's introduction. I do apologise. Could you please welcome to the stage someone who all of those things are also true, Matthew Waterhouse. Because Matthew is a late minute addition, I haven't done any preparation for this, but I wasted time writing that when I could have written some questions. It's genuine, all of that stuff is true. Oh, I don't need this.
Oh no, look, I've never seen this at a Doctor Who convention. It's very sophisticated. Those handheld ones hardly ever work. So it was always like 5 minutes of banter about, can you hear me, is the microphone working? But with this it's absolutely perfect. It's very, very advanced.
Somewhat. So, first of all, thank you very much, Matthew, for stepping in at the last minute to come along. You're squeezing us in because you are actually genuinely very busy this week, but you said, well, is it a weekend? No, it's just the day. Oh, I can do it then. So you've come to join us.
Yes.
The last time I saw you was Riverside Studios.
Yes, it was about 3 weeks ago.
About 3 weeks ago. I interviewed you then. I said, nobody else went to this. I interviewed you then as well.
Yeah, you watched The Keeper of Prague.
Yes, we had the
all 4 episodes.
Screening of The Keeper of Prague. Was anybody there? A few, yes. It was your idea.
It was my idea.
Said, which of your stories would you like us to show? I think just conversationally, but when you said it, they went,
oh, that's a good idea. Yeah.
What do you especially like about The Keeper of Prague?
I don't know, I remember when I first read the script, how I remember the minute I read the script, it was amazing, very exciting, you know, this atmospheric, it's suspenseful. The Return of the Master was really, it was a really good time to do it, and it really worked. The dialogue's great, the writing for the Doctor and Adric is wonderful. It's that professor-pupil thing, which is something I hadn't really done on Doctor Who before, in quite that way. So it was really nice, really nicely written, and I just thought the whole thing was magical. Great cliffhangers, which is always, you know, something you want from Doctor Who. So no, I always thought, right when I first read the script, and then of course the production is beautiful. It's amazing visually, the set designs, the costume designs, the music's great. I mean, John Black was a very, very good director. John's directing isn't showy, it's just very, very good. It's just very efficient and well done. So yeah, so I've always really liked it. And so yeah, they said, well, so just keep trying. And it was great that they could get so many people to come, you know. Jeff Beavers, Sarah and I were there, but Jeffrey Beavers was there. Roland Oliver, that wonderful Sheila Ruskin was there. Some of them, Roland and Sheila, I literally haven't seen in 45 years. I literally have never encountered them ever since, as far as I remember.
I was heading to talk to one of the organisers, and I saw Sheila seeing you and realising you're the boy. You kind of, I mean, I'm not sure your name, but I mean, it was the, and I just sort of doing the life. Like it's been a while. I mean, I'm not saying she looked at you and thought, God, you're old. I'm just saying that she looked at you. Well, what about she is? But you're not. You're not 18 anymore. So
No. no. But at the end of it, I said, well, I hope to see you again in 45 years, Sheila.
How did she take that? She said, you haven't changed.
I think a little feeble emerged.
Yeah,
The titter came out.
I think they tried to get John Black to be there, but he couldn't play the thing, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I'm pleased to get the praising because I do think he did a good. And I think he was a big help when it came to Fort to Doomsday, when they were doing Peter's first story. I think John being the director was a good choice to start with it.
Yes. And again, it's a very nice production, Fort to Doomsday. And again, I love the way he used the studio walls as a part of the spaceship. It's just, it's not, it seems kind of obvious, but it's not. It's actually quite an imaginative and clever way of doing it. It's completely convincing as a spaceship as well. That's a funny thing, isn't it? And getting in Stratford-Johns, it's just, again, it's just a really attractively made piece with good costume design, fantastic sets, everything about it.
And usually on the DVD, I know we've got the sofas on the Blu-rays and things, but usually on the DVD commentaries when you watch, and Peter and Janet in particular are usually going, well, this one's not much cooked, is it? Or this one, they notice the flaws, I suppose, as one does with their own work in that movie. But for Fort to Doomsday, as the four of you are just sitting, praising it, and I'm just, this is not the one I was expecting Janet Fielding to go into.
No, it's very rare. It's such an odd thing to see Janet Fielding go into a state of positivity and excitement. Particularly when she's watching Fort to Doomsday. I'm very surprised by that. And the funny thing is that it's a script where I actually don't like the writing for my character, particularly. I think it's quite a nice piece generally, but I just never liked Terence Dudley's writing for Adric. I don't think I got it right. It was very odd, but it was a very weird thing because this young guy came in as a script editor. I think may have been working a bit with Christopher Bidmead, I'm not quite sure. No, he basically only script edits this one story. And Terence Dudley himself is an unusual pick for Doctor Who. So you've got this rather surprising writer, and you've got this script editor who's just turned up, and then disappears again. And Eric becomes a script editor. So I've always found that really odd. I still don't understand why. I don't understand what was going on there. He was a nice guy, but I thought this was very odd. I thought that's why they got something tonally slightly wrong. Perhaps because it was this guy who just come in to do literally this one job. He's credited on Visitation, but he didn't do it, perhaps.
And I think Eric's as well, again, because Eric's credited as a writer, I think they didn't do any work.
No, he didn't do any work on it. He basically just did this Fort Doomsday.
And K9 and Company has both of them on that. That took two script editors, K9 and Company.
Well, something as fabulous as that would obviously require an extra staff member.
I think on the making of Ken, the documentary, I think it comes out like Christopher H. Bidmead, first script editor, because it's been going that long, and then Anthony Root, second script editor. They all contribute to them, they all get the credit, and then edited third and final script editor.
But I thought that actually Kindred Eden started with Douglas Adams. I've got a vague sense, somebody mentioned that to me, I could be wrong, but I think Douglas Adams at least was in it a little bit right at the beginning. It was a nightmare script, that, apparently. The last episode in its first draft was about 90 minutes. So Eric had to edit this 90-minute piece down to 25. I don't think Eric particularly likes it for that reason, because it was just really hard work to make it into a usable script. But the result is brilliant. It's really one of the most interesting Doctor Who stories ever, and it's just so brave as a subject, so unusual, and very intense. You know, the real kind of psychological intensity with that young man, that young spaceship guy, it's very intense. And Adric is surrounded by these basically crazy people. It's a really good piece. It was a real struggle, apparently, to actually get into usable form.
Yeah, I think, yes, I think in State of Decay and kind of Adric sort of pretends to fall for what they're doing so that he can. It's the obvious thing to do at the time of, well, actually, I'm in danger and I'll pretend. Whereas I think in Fort to Doomsday, he genuinely just goes, oh, this is a great idea.
Yes, and again, he's a highly intelligent kid, and I don't think there's anything wrong in a fictional context. I think his perception that, oh, we'd all be better off if we lost our flesh and became robotic. I think it's a terrible idea, but I can understand why a fictional character can think that. I think it's legitimate for a fictional character to believe that. But the only thing is so loaded that it just makes him look stupid for thinking that. Because of the way the script's written, he looks like an idiot for agreeing with this ridiculous frog. He looks like an idiot. And I think it would be more interesting if been written in a more balanced way. Because actually, lots and lots of people may well believe what Adric believes. But it's so tilted to make him look silly, so the Doctor can do his finger wagging bit. But that's my problem with it. It's not necessarily the thought the character has, which is a legitimate thought the fictional character has. It's just how it's loaded against him. Does that make sense?
Yes, it is. The sentence, the shame of it, the side of the currently considered in the families with some sympathies for their viewpoint there.
Yes, that is weird.
You mentioned keep attacking the Doctor and Adric relationship. Now I actually, because I was interviewing you and Sarah and Jess, I didn't actually watch Keep Attack because we were going to watch it that day. So it had been a while since I'd seen it actually until we had it on the big screen. And I had really forgotten how good the scenes are when they did between you and I remember the ones in Logopolis a lot more, but the scenes between you and the Doctor. When it was just you and Tom, the head sing, and I've been doing those kind of scenes, was he a different man before he had been?
Well, it was certainly, yeah, the E-Space trilogy was really hard. It was really hard to make. The atmosphere was kind of awful. Not awful every single day. I don't want to say it was just a blanket misery, but my main memories of it was very difficult. What was going on between Tom and Lara was just inexplicable to me. And once Lara had gone, oh, by the way, I don't necessarily think it's her fault. I just think it's just a combination of them. Just in the studio, it just made for a really tense atmosphere. But with the two last serials, the atmosphere was so much different. It was so much more relaxed. It was really, yeah, much better. It was still, Tom's never going to be an easy person. It just isn't. But it was much calmer, much more relaxed, much happier productions. Those last two, the E-Space stuff E-Space stuff was really hard to make. Again, I really like the programs. I think they're great. I think they're very good scripts and they're very well made. But the actual day-to-day process of rehearsal with those 12 episodes was really kind of rough. It was kind of depressing.
So you have written for both of your years, for Big Finish, you've written audio.
I have, yes,
so
yeah.
You did the Fourth Doctor and Adric solo first.
Yes.
So were you able to draw on things like Keep Attacking at the time?
Oh, absolutely. The novel takes place after Keep Attacking and before Logopolis. So I had those in my mind. It's coming out of the one, and actually the story leads into the other. So there are elements of Logopolis in Watchers, as it's called. So I'm writing towards it. So I didn't watch them, and I've seen them often enough at events, like this. I mean, we did Logopolis at the BFI one time, so a few years ago. So it's fairly fresh in my mind. So I didn't feel the need to watch it. I knew it well enough. But yes, they were in my mind throughout the writing of Watchers. And Watchers, it took a long. These things take a long time. It's 18 months from the first outline of the novel to actually going to the studio and recording. It was 18 months. So I was living with that setting of those characters, but also Trark and to some extent Logopolis across that time. It was in my head a lot because it was what I was basically doing most of the time, was putting this novel together. And then again with Prisons of London, again, when you're writing a novel and you're creating a place, you're creating a setting, you live in the setting a lot, you think about it, you think what's... Prisons of London, London's a planet, by the way, it's not actually our London. It's a planet named after old London, the Earth London. But so you're thinking about what it's like, what it looks like all the time, what the atmosphere, what it'd be like to live there. So you live with it all the time. So I was living with Logopolis for that 18 months and Trark quite a lot, and then living with the Fifth Doctor companion group for another 18 months. So yeah, so when you write that kind of stuff, it's very in your head. It's very present in your life.
But that's presumably the most focus you've been on Doctor Who since you were actually working on it as a full-time job. Because you come in, you do a big commission, right? Obviously you've prepped for it, but then it's do 2 days in the studio and then
That's
you
right.
on. But this is almost like working on the show again.
Yes, it was. Yes, absolutely. And I did. I try and write as pictorially as I can. I write towards image to the best of my ability, so that people can see things. So I do that because it's what I like as a reader myself. So I write towards obviously the sort of writing that I like. But so yeah, it was almost like I was almost thinking of it as a TV episode. And of course, each of them is 6 episodes. Each of them has a cliffhanger. So rhythmically, it's designed to work like a classic Doctor Who series. It's supposed to feel like that. So yeah, no, I was very preoccupied with it. And of course, I had been writing Blue Box Boy as well, the memoir. That took a long time, and I was very much living with that, with my memories of that, constructing this book out of my memories and to make something as vivid and alive as possible, so the reader is put into the play. So it's not just chat. The idea is you feel it in the rehearsal room, watching the rehearsal. You're on the studio floor, you're on location. The idea is to put people in the place. And again, that's because that's what I like as a reader. So that's what I try to do as a writer. And I try to do people's voice to put people in those places so they feel they're there.
And obviously the Doctor Who thing, so they kind of stay audio novels. So you're writing something to be read aloud, not to be read on the page.
No.
I mean, obviously you're then going to read it yourself, of course, but you're aware that what you're writing is for the rhythms of being able to read this.
Oh, absolutely.
Which I think you told me you did. Even if, like, your other novels, even if you weren't necessarily thinking of an audio book of that, you were just, you wanted to write something that reads off the page.
Absolutely, yeah. And again, I think you'd probably expect that from an actor. That yes, to what even though it's a novel, I'm writing towards the idea of acting as a part of it. Yes, so I always, whenever I've written anything, I speak it aloud. I might write it silently, but then I will read it aloud. At the end, I've written a paragraph, I will read it aloud to hear how it sounds and how it speaks. But that's not that surprising. I mean, when I wrote a Dark Shadows short story, an audio story for another actor, the actor David Selby. But again, I spoke that, even though I wasn't going to be the reader, I knew I was writing for another actor's voice, but I was still speaking it when I wrote it. Because if you can't speak it, nobody else can, basically. So yeah, working around is natural for me when I write.
So you wrote for the Fourth Doctor and the Fifth Doctor, Adric and this thing, Tegan. Did you find them all easy to? So some people don't like writing for their own character. But did you find them all there, or was there any of them you particularly thought it was hard getting you on the page?
I thought Tegan was the most difficult to write because I think there's a slight. Well, I don't want to overstate it because we're talking about Doctor Who's companions, so let's not be silly about it. I do think there's a level of complexity in the two children as characters, which actually is good for a novel. Because with novel way on, you're doing little bits of interior work. So there's quite a lot of character work. And I think with the characters who seem a bit more ambiguous, a bit more complex, actually, I think are more attractive in a novel. Tegan I found much more difficult to think, who is she? Beyond being a Doctor Who girl having an Australian accent. Who is she? And I found that. And in the end, I think I found it. But it was harder. It's not Janet's fault, though, it's just how these characters are written and how they come out. But I thought that I found Tegan more in the writing for television, much more of a one note, or much more limited in terms of musical notes than the two children are. And that does affect how you write. Well, I found anyway. It affected how it made it a bit harder to figure out who she is in the context of a piece of prose fiction.
I think that sometimes even people talk about the new Who stuff and that, giving the companions a mum and a fan, whatever. But I think even again, it's still ones like when they introduced Clara, Jenna Coleman, there was a mystery of the impossible girl and why does the Doctor keep bumping into her and everything. And they were so focused on that when the time that storyline off I went, I couldn't tell you anything else about her. I couldn't tell you what she's like because all the writing was about, well, she's been in it and then been killed and then they went somewhere else, there she was again. And then in the last season, Belinda, the new companion, wanted to get home. And as far as I could tell, that was the only, the actress was great, but I was like, I don't know anything about this person other than I have been taken away from planet Earth and I'd like to go home now, please. And I couldn't tell you a single other thing about her. So I think sometimes Doctor Who still does that kind of thing.
I think the most difficult job any Doctor Who companion had, I think, is Bonnie. Because Bonnie's character is just there. There's not a first episode. She's just there doing Doctor Who girl stuff, but nobody knows who she is. And Bonnie can't know who she is because there isn't anything for her to know. She does it brilliantly, but I think that was a really hard job. Just suddenly there, who are you? I think she managed it superbly, but I think Bonnie's character is the most difficult in those terms. And I'm not sure ever that the character became clear, because it's a long time since I've seen them, but I don't remember the character really clarifying as a character. But it's just really hard when the reason who is this person? She's just there and she's got a bike for the Doctor to ride, apparently, a little fixed bike, and that's apparently supposed to be funny. But yeah, so I always thought that. Mind you, I have to say, Bonnie's dresses are fantastic. Those jackets, she always looked fantastic. I was quite jealous of her wardrobe. but I always thought Nell was the most difficult job any classic Doctor Who companion had, because it's just very difficult to say who this person is when there isn't anything.
And not only is she just there in the TARDIS, but literally, so the first thing you see is Colin's on the exercise bike and she's going 21, 22, 23, and that's how you're introduced to her. It's like she's already there and she's making an exercise. And it's just with comedy music over the top of it. It's very hard to just do it. And it's different, I've just gone off in my head, it is different to the fact that you made State of Decay first, Peter made Fourth Doomsday first, and then did the actual introduction later. So you're going in, and you're just there for you, if you know it. But for the viewers, by the time it gets shown, but I suppose you and Peter, I know that, well, in a few weeks we'll be doing the introduction anyway, because Bonnie doesn't have that to fall back on. She's just like, you're already here, there isn't an introduction, get on with it. Was it hard though doing State of Decay first?
I didn't think it was hard doing it first. Partly because I was thrilled by it. I mean, again, because I'm like generation to have grown up with Doctor Who and have watched it and read all the Target books and all that kind of stuff, so I absolutely loved it. And if you've been casting Doctor Who and your first script flops on your backs by Terrence Dicks, I mean, my God, I mean, that's the real thing, isn't it? My God, I mean, Doctor Who, there it is, said by Terrence Dicks. I mean, it can't be more real than that. It just, I loved it. It was a wonderful story. He is a slightly different character because Terrence is writing towards the archaeological element of it, which there's a bit of archaeology occasionally. It's not just a device, so it's used to make something. But Terrence is basically writing the archaeology, or something nearer the archaeology than Andrew is, or Stephen Gallagher is. It's definitely that's what Terrence is working towards. It's interesting actually because I wondered at the time, does this mathematical genius archaeology thing work as a combination? They feel that two separate ideas fused together. But I very recently read the novel, I read Oliver Twist, and I'm fascinated how artful Dickens emphasises how intelligent artful is. He actually says it, the exceptionally intelligent artful Dodger. So I thought that's really interesting because actually the Artful Dodger may have been a mathematical genius if he had a better life, if he hadn't been, stuck with Valen and all that kind of stuff. So actually, that combination actually is already in Dickens in a weird. I was really surprised. I read it years and years ago, and I don't remember being struck that way with Ben. But this time, I was really struck. My God, yes, that's interesting. This guy is really smart. The whole point of Artful is he's brilliant, and Dickens emphasises his brilliance. I thought it was fascinating. So there we are. So you get those things actually combined. They're combined by Dickens himself. The artful nicking bit, but also the brilliant mind. As I say, Dickens emphasises it. several times.
And was your brilliance emphasised enough?
Oh, my brilliance! I can't really avoid emphasising my brilliance.
Sorry, I meant athletics, obviously. Does anybody want to stay away? Oh, that's hello, it's science. You first.
I'd like to ask Matthew about publicity photos.
Have you seen something we haven't?
I know there were at least two prolific photographers who did Doctor Who and many other shows. One was called Dave Moore, one was called John Green, and then both names mean anything to you. But I just wondered if you've got any kind of memories of when publicity shots were taken, or any kind of shots. I assume during rehearsals.
Yeah, I don't. The photographers would have been around on the set, but because there are so many people in the studio, there are lots of people you don't get to know. I mean, even when the credits roll at the end of Doctor Who, I've seen the names of whoever mixed the vision mixer. I'm not aware I ever met the vision mixer. I probably was in a bar with them or something, but I didn't in a social set. Oh, you're the vision mixer. Hello. Lots of you don't meet. So the photographer would have been there snapping away, but I probably never spoke to them beyond smiling and trying to look glamorous for those shots. But I think the set photographers at least on every story, I think. But I never knew their names. I did do a journalistic photo shoot as well, which wasn't at the BBC, which was for newspapers, where I think there were several photographers at that. That's like the one that was leaning against the wall.
When you first joined?
Yeah, when I first joined, I actually did.
Because I think there's quite a few with you by the side of the tree.
Yeah, that's Black Park. Yeah.
And there's a few with you by the lake, I presume.
Yes, again, yeah, that was probably that must have been State Decay or Full Circle.
There's one that is jumping for joy.
That's the jumping one is the journalistic one.
Yeah, that's what I'm
So that's nothing to do with it being BBC. That was just a photo sheet to send pictures to newspapers. And of course, it's my famous astronaut suit photograph. That was a pin-up in Doctor Who Weekly or Doctor Who Monthly Record.
Many a family and fans I've heard many people say this. I've spotted just because it's mentioned about I don't have it on. I have got it with me, but I don't have it on. When I interviewed you, I had a Viewmaster t-shirt. You can get a t-shirt with the full circle Viewmaster slide on it. It's absolutely brilliant. Do you remember the guy coming and taking the photos for you?
Oh yes, I do remember him. Yes. Yes, he had a very rough time. Certainly on with Tom Lala, that was not going well. But those 3D cameras were really odd, really strange, alien-looking devices. But yeah, it was during the. It wasn't during the evening's filming. It was during the afternoon rehearsals that he was making photographs. But Lala didn't take to him at all. Poor man. I mean, he was there doing his job. But that was Full Circle was probably the most difficult job a Viewmaster photographer ever had to do. But then when they came back for Castle, of course, then it was all sunny and lovely, and they were having a wonderful time.
Just imagining them cycling up to you and going, "You've stopped working now. Things are better now here, aren't they?" I sent this because Full Circle in Castle is presumably JT chose, well, this is the new companion, my first companion is a hook for Full Circle reviewers. And then Castle is my new doctor, but the two stories we chose with your introduction, you are two of the most important people in Germany in terms of
obviously, that's obviously the case, but he basically he gave up to a Viewmaster after I left because he thought there was no market left.
Thank you. Matthew, you did 4 East Bay stories for Big Finish. I've always wondered, did Tom and Lala record in the same studio together, and who were you with?
Right, it's coming to the mood that gentleman from
I went up had you rehearsed that and had you seen how explosive it was going to be? Because given that we now have DVDs, you can watch it over and over again, you do look wary of what was going to happen. And when it did happen, were you happy that you went out with the biggest bang in history?
Yeah, no, actually though, there's an idea that I'm being cautious because I'm afraid it's going to blow up. In fact, it was directed like that. I was told to do that. It's because it's hot. The reason he's being gingerless is because it's actually physically hot, and it's heating up more. That's why I pull away from it. But it's Peter Greenway's direction. It's not me, oh God, I'm so scared it's going to blow up. I know the I didn't know this until recently. There's a narrative that, oh, Matthew's obviously so terrified that he's standing away. In fact, I'm doing what I'm told to do.
Yeah.
It's heating up, and so the boy pulls away. He's still operating, still pressing the buttons.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, that's why I pull away. So that is actually in the script, it's a deliberate move. It's not a mistake on my part. It's actually what Greenway asked for me to do. But that's why I say no at it. It's because the idea is that it's already really hot.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, thanks,
You, yeah.
Okay.
I've just realised I said about the green, that's fun, because you've all got green. Yeah, you then, I'll come to you next, but you?
Yep. Thank you first of all for being here and being here at such short notice. It's great to have you. So thank you. I wanted to ask you about Behind the Sofa, because I just love your banter with Katie or Katie's banter with you. So can you talk to us about how that works, what the process is with Behind the Sofa? Give us some behind the sofa.
Yeah, I think Behind the Sofa is a great fun to do. I love my group. I love Peter and Sarah, but I did actually say, can you put me with other people? I like being in different combinations. So I did sort of hint, it'd be really nice to do one with Katie. It was lovely to do one with Fraser and Mark. It was, and I just think they're really nice. I love Katie anyway. We get along really well, and we've always made each other laugh. We're actually good on when we're a very unusual duo. It's not natural to put an early 70s companion and a 1980s companion together. But when they do put me in Katie, I always feel it works, and so does she. We really like each other, and we make each other laugh. And it's all, yeah, so as Katie said, we've been just improvising. We've been sitting there for hours and hours, improvising, just coming up with thoughts, and we're not competing. I think one of the things I don't like is when it gets competitive, where everybody's trying to be a bit funnier than the previous person. The thing is, we aren't. We generally, I say something, she responds, she says something, I respond, and we're listening to each other and having a genuine back and forth. We're not trying to be clever at each other. So that's one of the reasons why I think that they're such fun to do with her. I hope we'll do another one with her. But I'd love to do one with Wendy as well. But what they do is they edit each story down to about 40 minutes. Except I think a 6-part is about 50 minutes. So when Janet sits there saying, I don't understand what's going on, well, of course she doesn't, because she's only watching excerpts from the damn thing. So of course she doesn't. But that's how it's done. But it is a long day. Six stories at about 40 minutes each. It adds up to quite a long time. And it does get quite tiring by the end of the day. But they are really... the other one I love doing with Colin. Again, I've known Colin somewhat. We're all Doctor Who actors, all know each other. We all know each other. But obviously, I spend much more time with Peter, Janet, and Sarah than I've ever spent with Colin or Sylvester. So I know them. I don't know them well. And I think Colin was a bit nervous about what it would be like, because he doesn't know me that well. We've been around, we said hi, we're friends in that sense. But we don't know each other. But they just put us in a room together, and it just really worked. And he was pleased with it, I was pleased with it. It was really enjoyable. But yeah, it's like, but I really like doing it with unexpected groups. As I said, I'd love to do one with Wendy. Of course, I'd love to do one with Maureen O'Brien. That would be fun. But I'd like to do one with any. I probably wouldn't do one with John Levine. Unless they trouble my feet. On the whole, I'm 8 games. I'd love to do one with Sophie. I adore Sophie. She's great and she's fun and we get along really well. So I'd love to do one with her. But I do like the idea of being with these different groups, not just my fixed little quartet, much as I like them and enjoy doing them with them. It's nice to do something fresh and new and a bit surprising. But the Katie one particularly, people really loved that. It really went down well, and we both really enjoyed it as well. And she'd never, interestingly, I suppose there's no reason to be surprised, but she'd never seen John's first year, even though she comes in immediately in the second year. She'd never actually gone back and watched the season before, so it was all new to her. Whereas to me, it actually wasn't new because it was at the heart of my childhood. I remember John's series first year very well because I was about 8 years old, adjusting because I'm a December birthday, so I would have been just 8 in a week when it came on, when the first 300 Space episode came on. So it's interesting that the actor really associated with John Pertwee. These were completely new stories. And the guy who's actually on Doctor Who 10 years later is what actually said, oh yeah, I remember all these stories really well. But yeah, it was great fun, and I hope we'll do more. I hope we'll get to do some more.
I think you and Casey also really like to act together. You've never.
I'd love to do that. I've never acted with her. I keep getting that Paul Mars to write something for us.
He's here.
He's here somewhere. I don't know if he's far too busy. He's doing something far more interesting than listening to my panel. But I'd love to act with her. It'd be just fun. Seeing we work well together and we like each other. And so I would really love to do something like that. A Doctor Who thing, or even something not Doctor Who. That would be great. Great fun.
Thank you.
I've always been very patient.
In some of the quite recent episodes, your character actually really mentioned to a lot of recognize they were dealing with trauma. When Sheety first appeared, he actually mentioned your character's name. How did that feel? Was that some sort of closure? Was that nice?
It's just really lovely. It's a very nice, sweet thing to do, and they don't have to do that. And it's just really lovely. I couldn't be in the Tales of TARDIS for obvious reasons. But just to give the character a little name check once or twice, I think it's a very sweet and generous thing to do. And yeah, no, I saw that shooting episode, the first one, where David Tennant was birthed in. But yeah, no, I was very touched by it. It's just a really nice, generous thing to do for a character who, after all, was last on terrestrial television, 40-something years ago. Just goes to show, doesn't it, how the characters from this series stay around. Here we are all these years later.
I mean, to be fair, that you say you couldn't be in it. Those Tales from the TARDIS things. The Collins one, he's not wearing the costume. He's got something else, and then he's got a beard. But he's not. And she's always talked to you. Do bigger or something. She says, and beard there. And it's just, they're saying it's a memory TARDIS, and you don't quite clear from one coming to the next one. Actually, are the people there, or the judges that are, will they remember this? And they appear, and it's not quite clear. And Peter and Janet have done one. If they suddenly wanted to do you and Sarah, remember Keeper of Traken, Sarah can be there and suddenly they remember that. They could make anything work in those things. Yes, I am here. Do you remember when we first met before I died? You and Colin Baker's next. You.
Matthew, do you have any memory of being in the audience on Top of the Pops? Which was before.
When I came, yes, I was. I remember coming on to plug the Doctor Who theme, which has just been released as a single, with that Dave Lee Travis. Is he in jail? I can't keep up with him.
I don't think he gets one. I can't remember if they went to jail or something.
Anyway, yes, I remember it actually quite vividly. And they gave me this stripy, very loud orange and yellow stripy pullover because they didn't think I was cool enough in whatever the clothes I'd come in were. So they put me in this very loud stripy thing that makes me look like a bee, makes me look like a bumblebee. But yeah, I'm holding up a little record. I don't think David Travis thought this was a very thrilling idea to have somebody Doctor Who come on top of the box and plug the Doctor Who theme. To be honest, he didn't seem to be all that excited about it. But the really exciting thing was the next song was after me. It was immediately went into Kate Bush. So Kate and I have been on the same show together. That's quite cool. I just wish it hadn't been a video. I wish it had been her in real life, but it wasn't. Unfortunately, it was Army. Do you remember the Army Dreams? Army Dreams. So yeah, so it went straight from me to Kate. It's almost like, well, it's all the same, almost the same person. But yeah, it was really weird that being asked to go on Top of the Pops was actually really odd. But you know why they got into that celebrity thing of having minds come and flash stuff out? Because the audience for Top of the Pops plummeted as a result of punk rock. It was basically a family show. Most of the people who were Top of the Pops weren't the kids who went and bought records. They were, you know, Granny watched it, mums watched it while ironing. And your grannies and mums didn't like punk at all, so they stopped watching. So that's why it literally went from being, you know, 8 million viewers to 4 million overnight kind of thing. Because you suddenly had this form of pop music that the casual viewer just didn't really like. So they were desperately trying to figure out how to get. And I don't think it ever quite recovered from that, did it? It was never as big again as it had been in the 70s, when it was really huge. But apparently it was because just casual viewers didn't like music anymore. So they were desperately trying to find ways to bring people back. And the idea of having little guest stars come and do a talk was something they tried. It didn't last very long though, did it? I have to say I didn't think it was a good idea myself. I mean, you turn on the pop star minding their record. It's not sort of lots of people coming on and plugging their whatever it is. So I didn't think it was a great idea, but it was just really interesting to experience. But as you say, the other Doctor Who people are on Top of the Pops as well. Did you say Nicola Bryant used to go?
Nicola, she said she used to go between recording sessions, and she said, didn't she say something like that was basically an exercise? She would go and have a dance, and that was an exercise for the day. If she couldn't make the time to go and do
Is there actual visual footage of her?
Yes, but then Peter is seen in the audience sometimes. Peter Davison.
As a young lad?
Yes. Somebody really famous, and he's over the shoulder.
What, like Mick Jagger or something?
Lennon or somebody.
Oh, wow.
I'm being told, I'm getting the countdown to go, so but I did promise Colin Baker that Ricky could ask a question.
It is a big Finish-related question. So there was a main show called The Boy Who Lived, and you were recasted. Did you listen to it, and how did you feel about Adric's portrayal in that alternative timeline, and the whole idea of the story of If You Lived?
Well, you know, they did ask me to do it. Early on with Big Finish, I was reluctant to do it. Partly because I wanted to write a book about Doctor Who, and I didn't want that to get into the way of thinking about the old show. And also because I was worried about the quality of it. Because I thought Doctor Who was really good when I was in it. Those 2 seasons were really good examples of Doctor Who. And I was just worried, is this audio version going to be any good? That's why I was hesitant about doing it. On reflection, I should have just done it. I think it was a mistake. Not a ginormous mistake, but I think, you know, Peter and Sarah threw themselves into it right at the beginning, and I probably should have done. I should have said, yeah, I love Doctor Who, I want to do it, it'd be great fun. I should have just done it. But I took about 10 years. And I think they did ask, because so every year or so, David Richards or somebody would get in touch. So it's a thing that was always sort of bubbling away on the back burner that probably at some time I would do it. And I think they did approach me about that, but I said no to it. But I didn't read the script. I haven't read it. I haven't heard it. I know it's Andrew Sachs, isn't it, from 40 Towers. Apparently, it's not great actually, but it's apparently a very good script. But poor old Andrew Sachs isn't quite. He's not me, is he? But I know about Paul Mars, and it's really interesting. I like the sound of it. I have heard the description I've heard before. I think it sounds really interesting, but I've not played it, so I don't know it in any detail. But anyways, yeah. So that's all I really have to say about it. But on reflection, I should probably have done it, but I didn't. And Andrew had a lovely audience.
Speaking of people who aren't the original active companions, what were you thinking you were going to do next month? At Riverside Studios, what did they say you would do? Because they're showing Resurrection of the Daleks and Riverside Studios and...
oh yes, I think that was... Marx was going to come, he's not available.
He's not going to be in the country.
So I'm going to dye my hair red. I see it go to these things all the time. Now I'm playing more than O'Brien. I think I replaced somebody last year. Oh yeah, I played Carol Ann very well apparently.
And you gave Caves of Andy screening because Martin Cochran was there.
Yeah.
You are in it.
I am in it, yeah. I'm also in Resurrection of the Daleks, don't forget. Little photograph. appears apparently. There's a bit where every single Doctor Who companion's photograph.
I think, and you'll be a clever thing, I think there is, somebody gets a photo because there wasn't a clip of them existing at the time, so it's just a photo. That will be a little bit of you, it will actually be footage.
Oh,
So
good.
you are, so you are in it. Yeah.
Oh, well.
So yes, get the big one, get the hair. Yeah. So please thank Martin Cochran, Carl Landford, Maureen O'Brien and Matthew Waterhouse. Thank you very much.